I'd like to move to our second poet. Dr. Anita Heiss is an award-winning author of fiction and non-fiction. Her two poetry collections include Token Kudi and the wonderfully titled I'm Not Racist But. The focus of her work is Aboriginal literature and life. She's a lifetime ambassador of the Indigenous Literary Foundation and a proud member of the Wiradjuri Nation of New South Wales. She's also Professor of Communications at the University of Queensland. She has said she would prefer not to be thought of as a poet, but as a social observer.
Iridumarang, Yuandu Anita Heiss, Baladu Radri Geelong. Arambajibu, Branglibu, Megandi, Bali Williams, Yindamaradu, India Gu, Main Gu. I've just said in my Wiradjuri Aboriginal language, hello, my name is Anita Heiss. I have Wiradjuri belonging, that's where I'm from Arambi Aboriginal Mission and Brungle Aboriginal Mission, and my family are the Williamses. And I've said Yindamara is a Wiradjuri phrase meaning to honour and respect, and I've paid honour and respect to the people of India and the families that I've made here in India. So thank you for having me. The poems, or the social observations I'm going to share, were published in 2007, but many of them were written in the 1990s. Back then and today, they would be regarded as political. I just call them my social observations, and they are my reality. The first one's called Proud to be Koori. Koori is a generic Aboriginal word that we use, Aboriginal people use for Aboriginal people in New South Wales. It's called Proud to be Koori. I am a Wiradjuri Koori who has survived the shameful massacres, the continued injustice and murder of my people, and the destruction of a traditional, respectful way of life. I have survived the bitter battles and the spilt blood of my ancestors that proved that we too are human. You measured our skulls, though, to see how intelligent we were, but you ignored the fact that we invented the boomerang, the greatest aerodynamic invention ever. That's how smart we are. I'm proud to be Koori and fight the conspiracy of ignorance. I take pride in my heritage and culture, and I shun appropriating white vultures. I feel contempt for those who argue against native title legislation and those who are into racial vilification. We have survived as a strong people, defying Darwin's theory, white superiority and dominance. And while policies of protection and assimilation have been replaced with self-determination and reconciliation, you still call the shots. And now, because genocide didn't work, you use your own definitions of who we are to kill us off. You define us so that you can then define yourselves. To you, I am half-caste and must prove my Aboriginality. See, you still want to control my identity, but you can't, for my spirituality is mine. And what you don't understand is that after all that has happened, we are a proud people, and that while our colour might have faded, our strength and unity never will. Thank you. This is called Making Aborigines. I was born and raised a young girl. I went to school, I played with dolls, I ate McDonald's, I spoke English, I watched Romper Room and Sesame Street. I fell, I bled, I hurt, I cried, happy, I laughed. One day you called me Abo, Bung and Coon. You spat at me, you said I was dirty. You made me your idea of what you thought I was, what you thought an Aborigine was. Why couldn't you just let me be? I was just another little girl skipping home from school. Instead, you created me. You politicised me. You made me have to be an activist. You made me have to be vocal. You gave me the chip that you now criticise me for. My parents didn't create me. I didn't create me. You created me. You made me different, and then you asked me why I was so. You said I was an abo, but I could only be half-caste. To you, I'm not even a whole person. I'm not half a daughter, I'm not half a woman, and I'm not half an Aborigine. Are you half-caste Australian? Do you call yourself part Australian because you have mixed heritage? No. You allow yourself a whole identity. Well, guess what? So do I. I am whole, I am complete. If you are struggling with who you are, then deal with it, but don't project your own identity issues onto me. My other. This one's called My Other, because we always talk about the other is always the primitive people or people of colour. You are my other, but you do not steal my gaze or consume my thoughts, and I am not preoccupied with trying to understand what it's like to be you, to be white, to be the majority, to be the so-called definition of civility, and how it must feel to assume the superior role. And I do not ask you what it's like to be non-Indigenous, to have the freedom to choose to be politically active or to choose to participate in the reconciliation process. I do not ask you to tell me the entire history of your society or the customs of your ancestors or why your people can't seem to agree on anything. I do not ask these questions not only because they may make you feel uncomfortable, but because it's important for me to determine my own role, my own place in this world that we share. So I really wish you would start asking yourself the same questions you ask of me and focus on the self rather than the other. Thank you. There's a joke in Australia about, not only Australia, but in North America, in Native American communities as well. And they say, what makes a typical Aboriginal family? A mother, father, 4 kids and an anthropologist. So this one's called Anthropology Is. Anthropology is supposed to be the study of behaviour, of social relationships, of the physical, of the social, of the cultural development of human beings. Human beings. All human beings, not just Aborigines and other primitive societies, but all human beings. But why don't I ever meet anthropologists who study white people? And I'm going to finish really
Anita.
quickly on something called Why I Write. I write to voice the words, the stories, the heartbeat of my people. I write as a role, as a responsibility, as an accountability to my people. And I write with a soul, with a passion, with the experience as one of my people. And I write because it is the only way I have a voice in your world. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Heiss.
One really quickly. In another life, I write chick lit. So where Bridget Jones meets Carrie Bradshaw meets Anita Heiss at Bondi Beach. So I just wanted to finish with an ode to all the men I've loved before. Wonderful. None of them are in the audience and none of them read my book, so that's safe. To all the men I've loved before, you're all bastards. Thank you.
I think we all had time for that one.